This step-by-step walkthrough will cover three important topics with hands-on coding. First will be single-dimensional array. Second, rectangular array. And third, jagged array. I have covered everything you need to learn to work with arrays efficiently on your day-to-day job. Please subscribe to this channel and make sure to hit the bell icon to receive notifications of my latest videos. What is an array? Array is a data structure which stores multiple values of the same type in a single variable. Then you access each individual value using an integer index with an array name. Arrays can be of different dimensions like single dimension, multi-dimension, or jagged array. But the simplest of all is single dimension. Let's start learning how to declare, initialize, and use all these arrays individually. So, what is single dimensional array? You can think of this array as a numbered list of items. This number is referred to as item index, or you can say item key in the array. And with the help of this number index, you access each item in the array. Remember this, index will always be a numeric value, a number. Actually, array stores multiple values of the same type. I repeat, it stores multiple values of the same type in a single variable, like this array of integer values, string values, etc. Single dimensional array is also called one-dimensional or 1D array. It's up to you whatever you name it. Suppose this is the array, and these boxes are the array elements, or you can say array items. I will use the word items interchangeably with the elements. Now if I add 8 elements of the same type in this array, like integer values from 1 to 8, then their indexes will be from 0 to 7. The index of the first element of an array always starts with 0. The index of the second element is 1, and so on. But the index of the last element is always 1 less than the total number of elements in the array. The smallest index is called lower bound, and the largest index is called upper bound. I am talking about the index here, this part. So don't mix it with the array elements or values. Now is the important part. If you try to use an index that's greater than the upper bound, in this case an index of 8, C# compiler will throw index out of range exception. It's a type of error. Let's start with the syntax. You can create an array using one or two statements. To declare an array, you first define the type of items you want to store in the array. Now these items can be integer, float, double, string, etc. Followed by empty opening and closing square brackets. Now I give the array a name. Name of the array is usually plural because array is a collection of items. Name like movies, fruits, ages, countries, etc. However, this statement only declares the variable. It doesn't yet initialize an array. You do the initialization part with the new keyword, followed by the data type, and a second set of square brackets containing the length or size of an array. Now this statement creates an array object. Basically, array is a reference type, an object. So with the initialization statement, memory on the heap, which is a dynamic memory, is allocated to hold the elements of an array. This length is the fixed number of elements that the array can hold. And once array initialized with the values using this statement, then this length cannot be changed. That means you cannot increase or decrease the size of an array. It's a fixed size. I will explain everything in the demo, so don't worry if you miss something. Pay attention. When you initialize the array with this statement, the default value is automatically assigned to the array elements for that data type. Suppose you declared and initialized an integer array with the length of 4. When you access the array, and try to print the values, you get 4 zeros out of the array. Why is that? Because the default value of int type or integer type is 0, which is automatically assigned to the array elements when you initialized it with this line of code. You can use another way to declare and initialize the array at the same time on a single line like this. I'm going to use this C# online editor for the demo. You can find the link in the description. Let's declare an array first. Here I have just declared a variable called int values, and it's an integer array. In order to use this array, I need to initialize it. Let me do that. I have initialized the array with the new keyword, followed by the data type, and a set of square brackets. Click Run. This will generate error. Why is that? Because you need to tell how large you want the array to be during the initialization time. I say 4. I have just defined an integer array with the size of 4. Now this array can hold 4 elements of integer type. I already told you, once array is created, then this length cannot be changed. You can combine both these statements together, meaning declaration and initialization at the same time on a single line like this. What is rectangular array? C# rectangular array is an array of 2 or more dimensions. Think of this array as a table, where the first dimension is the number of rows and the second dimension is the number of columns, separated by comma. Due to these 2 dimensions, this array is known as two-dimensional array or 2D array. The number of rows and columns is fixed. That means you cannot change row and column numbers once assigned to rectangular array. The data stored in this array will be in tabular form, also known as matrix. Keep in mind, every row is of the same length. Let's look at the syntax first. This is how you declare a rectangular 2D array. Let me explain it to you. On the declaration side, you need to have a data type. That's the type of elements in the array, meaning what type of values this array will hold. Like it will hold integer values, decimal, string, etc. Followed by comma within the set of brackets. This comma is important. If I remove this comma, then it's gonna be single dimensional array. Actually, this comma indicates that the array has 2 dimensions. If you use 2 or more commas, that would indicate 3 or more dimensions. And finally, a variable name. That's the declaration part. Let's check the initialization part. Please pay attention. This is tricky. On the right side of the initialization, new keyword is used to create an array. Then you specify the number of rows in the array. That's your first dimension. Followed by comma. Then the number of columns. That's your second dimension. Already told you, think of a rectangular array as a table with rows and columns. The data in this array will be in tabular form like this. This whole part will set the size of each dimension in the array, because these rows and columns are actually array dimensions. You can combine both these statements together, declaration and initialization at the same time on a single line. The syntax works like this. Array declaration and initialization. Let me code the array first, then explain it to you. This statement declares the rectangular array. All the elements in this array will be of integer type because I have used int data type here during the declaration of an array. Now, in order to use this array, I need to initialize it. How do I initialize the rectangular array? Remember this syntax? This can be done with the new keyword, followed by the data type and a set of square brackets. And within the square brackets, there will be number of rows and columns separated by comma. Let me show you. Already told you, row and column are the dimensions. Now this array consists of 3 rows and 2 columns, and each dimension is separated by comma. You can combine both these statements on a single line like this. This statement declares and initializes the array both at the same time. Now pay attention. Look at this image. These are the index values for this array. 3 rows, 2 columns. The element names in row 0, this one, all have a first index 0. And the element names in column 1, which is this one, all have a second index 1. Do you see the pattern? To support this video, I have written a complete step-by-step article on C# rectangular array. I have used images and code examples just to make sure you understand the topic thoroughly. You can find the link in the description below. And one request, if you like the article, please share it. What is jagged array? C# jagged array is an array of 2 or more dimensions. Most developers call it an array of arrays. Think of a jagged array as a table with rows of unequal lengths. Jagged array has a fixed number of elements. These fixed elements are actually the rows, like 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, etc. As you can see 3 rows here. Each fixed element, I mean every single row, can hold a separate array of different dimensions and sizes. This row contains a single dimensional array of length 2, or you can say 2 columns. And this row contains an array with 4 elements, 4 columns. This one with 3 elements, 3 columns. Actually, I prefer column instead of element. It helps visualize the image properly. You can call it whatever you like, column or element. Pay attention please. Let me try to explain it again. This is very important point. When you create a jagged array, you declare the number of fixed rows in the array. Hope that part is clear to you. Once declared the fixed rows, then for each row, this empty bracket will hold an array of different lengths or different columns. One array per fixed row. That can be a single or multi-dimensional array, 1D or 2D array. Let's look at the jagged array syntax. This is how you declare a jagged array. Let me explain it to you. On the declaration side, you need to have a data type. That's the type of elements in the array, like integer, decimal, string, etc. Followed by pair of square brackets, one after another, 2 square brackets. These brackets represent the number of dimensions in the array. And finally, a variable name. Here is the declaration example. That's the declaration part. Now the initialization part. Pay attention please. On the right side of the initialization, new keyword is used to create an array. After the new keyword, you specify a data type with 2 pair of square brackets one after another. In the first pair of brackets, only the size that defines the number of fixed rows is set. Remember the term fixed elements from the previous slide? I mean these rows. You write the number of rows here. The second pair of brackets is empty. These brackets define the number of columns inside the row, and every row has different number of columns. Here is the initialization example. You can combine both these statements together, meaning declaration and initialization at the same time on a single line. See the example here. Actually, jagged array is a little bit tricky topic. I will try my best to simplify the topic as much as possible. That's why I use images to make sure you visually see while I am explaining it. Next, the demo will help you a lot. Array declaration and initialization. I'm going to use the C# online editor for the demo. You can find the link in the description below. Let me code the jagged array, then explain it to you. This part is the declaration of a jagged array. All the elements in this array will be of integer type, because I have used int data type here. Now, in order to use this array, I need to initialize it. Let me show you how. I have initialized the array with the new keyword, followed by the integer data type and two pairs of square brackets one after another. Within the first square brackets, I have number 3, which means this jagged array consists of 3 fixed rows. You can combine both these statements in a single statement like this. This statement declares and initializes the array both at the same time on a single line. This number 3 indicates the number of fixed rows, and these are the row indexes 0, 1 and 2. Okay, fine. Now the most important point is this. Focus please. This empty square bracket shows that the number of columns in each row is undefined. To support this video, I have written a complete step-by-step article on C# jagged array. I have used images and code examples just to make sure you understand the topic thoroughly. You can find the article link in the description. And one request, if you like the article, please share it.